Okay, the second way that you can use this leash, which is really popular, especially for people who buy my product but aren't necessarily the clients that I work with in person one-on-one. Usually people tend to buy my product who want to get their dog to stop pulling on the leash. And so the way that they like to use the leash is by doing what's called a power loop. So this is for someone who has a dog who just tends to pull to no avail and will choke themselves, will pull you down, and is basically gonna harm themselves or you by their lack of engagement with the human on the walk. So that's when the dog cares about everything else except for you. So what I do is I move the slip knot so that I can make a big, extra big loop that's going to go around the dog's neck. And again, I'm going to sit it up here at the highest part of the back of the neck where the base of the skull meets the highest part of the neck, and situate all of the hardware between the two ears. And then I'm going to take the slack of the loop I made and I'm going to figure eight it. So it's hanging like this, and I'm going to figure eight it as such, and I'm going to pop it over the dog's muzzle and then pull slack. Sometimes you have to finagle it around a little bit. So you're going to tighten it like I'm doing here. And remember, I'm twisting this around because at the end of the day, I want all of the hardware to continue to sit right here. Because when we elicit pressure on this leash, we want it to all come from the base of the back of the skull. If it's coming from down here, you're going to give your dog whiplash. It's also very easy for the whole thing to fall off your dog's face. And the tool itself is just less effective when all this hardware hangs down here. Because remember, when we elicit pressure, it's coming through this O-ring, so we want it sitting up on top. Then to make it fit and stay, I'm gonna move the slip knot like I just did, and so I know if it fits and if it's in the right position. If I can give pressure like this, and there's about an inch of room between the O-ring and the slip knot when I give pressure. When I release pressure, the leash stays where it's supposed to be and doesn't slide down the dog's neck. If you were to go to pull and give pressure and you got nothing coming out of this O-ring like this, you have the slip knot way too close to the dog's head. So you're just going to give constant pressure. And the issue with that is dogs communicate using pressure and release as a language. So if you give pressure, there has to be a release in order for the dog to understand what you want from them. So if I give pressure like this, see there's room here between the O-ring and the slip knot. That means that there's going to be release of pressure. So when the dog moves toward me or stays with me or is moving with me and I release pressure, they're going to know, oh, it feels better to be with her or to be with my handler than it does to be away. And they're going to realize that that's what you want from them. It's like you releasing pressure is you agreeing with the behavior that they're giving you. Another side note is you should be able to put a couple of fingers underneath the line that goes around your dog's muzzle. The reason that this is important to use with dogs who tend to pull really badly on the leash is because it forgoes crossing the dog's trachea and instead crosses under the chin. So your dog's not going to hurt itself. If anything, it becomes more sensitive to the leash pressure this way. I also want to note, this is not a muzzle. It will not keep your dog from picking things up off the ground. It will not keep your dog from biting other people, harming itself, others, etc. All of the above, because your dog has full access to their mouth when they have this on their face. If they don't and they cannot open their mouth, you're using the tool very incorrectly and in a dangerous way for your dog. So your dog should be able to open their mouth, salivate, drink out of a bowl, play fetch, eat an ice cream cone, all of the above when they have the LeaderSlip on. Happy walking.